Hi there, I'm Marius, and the topic of today's video is the Power Pages Client API preview that Microsoft just announced. Before we get into any implications this might have, let's first take a look at some code. Microsoft has some samples in the Learn wiki. I will leave a link in the description below. If you want to use the Microsoft Power Pages Client API, you'll need to call this method and await it, as this is an asynchronous function. This also means that I have to mark the onStart function I'm using here as asynchronous. Microsoft also suggests to name the variable for your client API $pages, which I've done here as well. And then you can get the forms of this current page. On my websites, usually there was exactly one form on a page, so just selecting the first one with @0 is a pretty safe bet for me. I've then also saved the form to a window-wide variable here to have it available in the console when I'm doing my debug experiments. The form then offers tabs, sections, and controls. However, selecting a control does not work similar to what you might know from the Dataverse Client API. There's currently no getControl method. Instead, you would have to use something like the find method. And here we have another specific that getName, which in the client API of Dataverse, at least for attributes, returns the logical name. Here it returns the display name of the field. But from here on out, we have methods like setValue, setVisible, or in this case, setDisabled, which we can use to manipulate the control. Over on the page, we can verify that this code works. If I hover over the string field, you see my mouse is disabled. I can't enter something in here, while over on the decimal field here, I of course can. Over at the console, I can use the form that I saved to the window and then unfold it to see its contents. I can hide, for example, here also the whole form, and you can see down here the collections for controls and tabs. And for example, a tab can also be shown or hidden and has then the sections below it, which can also be shown and hidden and has its controls. Please note that the getHTML element is currently not a documented function, so you can't rely on it being present. Also note, if I switch my page to German, I have changed this string field here to the wording text, which is incidentally also an English word for text. And you can see I get an error in the console from, okay, this is slightly wrong, should be over here, that there is no control with the name string, because now the name is text. We can verify that if we just take the control number 0, so the first one, and get its name, and we see it is text. This is of course a big problem if you're working with multi-language pages, but I expect Microsoft to get us a But my expectation here is that in the future we will get a better method of selecting controls so that you don't have to rely on a label that might change at runtime. As we speak about multi-language pages, also note that there are functions in the API for this, and we also haven't covered the web API object, methods for sign in and sign out that are available at the user object, and functions for views that you might embed. If you are already following this channel for some time, you will know that I have my own version of the Power Pages Client API, and that is in fact, as of recording this video, much more powerful than the one that Microsoft published. However, let's be honest here, I'm just a guy programming on the weekends to push this project forward. Of course, I will never have the manpower of Microsoft. So therefore, in the coming days, I will probably archive my own version of the Power Pages client API and rather focus on what Microsoft delivers here, how we can leverage that. Keep in mind also, just like I always said in my videos, the version of the Power Pages client API is not ready for production yet. You can see that here Microsoft marks these as previews. But if you leverage JavaScript in your Power Pages project and you're writing helper functions, keep in mind that this exists and maybe design your helpers to be compatible with this so that they might become just a simple wrapper in the future for the Power Pages client API as soon as it's ready. A sample for this would be the asynchronous initialization, which would be a problem, for example, if we were to try and migrate functions from my prior implementation to using the Microsoft Power Pages client API. That's it for today. I will put some links in the description below. See you in the next video.